Radio 2. The actor and comedian Billy Connolly has revealed that he's got Parkinson's disease, having been diagnosed following minor surgery for prostate cancer. Billy is 70 and he says the Parkinson's won't affect his ability to work and he plans to carry on as normal. He's due to start filming a TV series and has plans for a theatrical tour of New Zealand. It's quite an impressive response for a man who's just been told he has an incurable neurological condition. Is he being realistic? Perhaps you've got Parkinson's yourself. How did you feel when you were diagnosed? Have you tried to carry on as before? Every so often, the condition is wrenched into the spotlight by a celebrity, such as, most obviously, Michael J. Fox, who is still acting 20 years after being diagnosed, or Bob Hoskins, who has retired with the illness last year. But Parkinson's remains a poorly understood disease, even though in the UK, one person every hour is told they have it. So what is it like for most people in the early stages when a trembling hand or stiffness has been revealed as Parkinson's? And if you're not Billy Connolly with a TV series to film, what do you do next? Can you carry on working for, say, 5 years? Let's speak to the co-founder of the Cure Parkinsons Trust, Tom Isaacs, who's with me now, has Parkinson's himself. Afternoon to you, Tom.
Hi, Jeremy.
And I know you'll be looking at the Billy Connolly story and sort of, in a way, knowing what's in store for him.
Yeah, it's always difficult. I think the diagnosis of Parkinson's is, initially, it's just like this word. It's nothing's changing in your life, but you've got this word to deal with, Parkinson's, and after it, there's just this. I mean, it's a terrifying thought. You know, you've got this condition which is there for life. It's a life sentence. It's not a death sentence. But I think to begin with, it's more a psychological illness. It's about communicating and engaging with your condition, and that's the way to get through the first period, I think. And
you've had yours for how long?
20 years as well.
So you're mid-40s now?
Mid-40s, yeah.
Got it very young, didn't you?
I did, yeah, ridiculously young, 26.
And how long before you had to start medication?
I started on medication immediately. Not everyone does, but the medication is actually how they diagnose it in most instances. You know, if you respond to the medication, then it's usually pretty dead certain you've got Parkinson's. So. And
does the medication halt it or just slow it down?
No, it's just symptomatic. So it alleviates symptoms, but only on a temporary basis.
And well, as you sit here now in front of me, you have continual movement going on, and we've talked before, so you can explain that that's not the disease, that's the medication. Is that right?
That is the medication. Yeah, I avoid auction rooms at all costs because because of this flailing arms. But yeah, a lot of people think I'm drunk, but actually it's a medication thing called dyskinesia, which is relates to the medication I take. So
the medication makes you move constantly, and is that because you take too much, or it goes off through the day, or what?
It's basically, once you've been on this drug for about 5 or 6 years, or some cases people don't get it at all, but for me it was about 5 or 6 years, and basically it's striking this balance between not being able to move at all or having this ridiculous sort of flailing like an octopus movement, which is almost as disabling as the condition itself.
Yeah. Does that cause you trouble?
It's tough picking up a taxi because people think I'm drunk, but on the whole, it's not as bad as it looks. Actually, it's about attitude, Parkinson's, and if you have a positive attitude, you can get through most things. And
if somebody is diagnosed now, as Billy Connolly has been, do they get a different regime of drugs from what you had when you were 26?
Yes, I think so. I think there are numerous courses of action. I mean, there's horses for courses. There are all sorts of medications with Parkinson's. None of them turn the condition around, and that's what we're working at the Cure Parkinsons Trust, to actually reverse the condition, and there is real hope for that. But at the moment, it's just symptomatic. The medication just alleviate the symptoms.
There are, I said, one person every hour is diagnosed. Actually, that's 24 a day. It doesn't sound like that many, but I feel that all of us know somebody. I know 3 people with it. So we all are aware of the disease personally, aren't we?
Yes, I think that's the thing about Parkinson's. It affects not just people with it, but the people around them, because it's such a high maintenance condition, really, for everyone. As it progresses, you know, it takes away control over things. I always liken it to your body being like a a car and the car slowly losing aspects of its way to control it. You slowly lose the control of your steering wheel. You lose control of your accelerator, your clutch, your air conditioning unit. So it seeps. It's a very gradual process.
And in the middle of all that, you're still Tom. You're still the same person. You've lost none of your mental acuity at all. Well,
my wife would say differently, but no, I don't think so. Sorry?
Yeah. I can tell you haven't. So,
okay, thank you.
So I don't know if that... I mean, you have a very crystal clear consciousness of what your body is going through, which may or may not be a help.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is important to engage with your condition and understand Parkinson's, because that way you can adjust and live your life with it and not and defy it, really. So,
and what do those of us who are lucky enough not to have it? What do we need to do to make life better for you?
I think it's a stigma thing. I think communication is key, but ultimately, it's down to the person with Parkinson's to communicate what their condition is to people, and it's very easy to hide away. It's for such a visible condition. It's a very hidden disease. And so I think it's down to us to communicate better with the general public, and maybe then there won't be these misunderstandings, like taxi drivers thinking I'm drunk.
Only 1 in 20 people get it under the age of 40, I understand. So you were very unlucky to get it at 26. Have you even got any idea of why that happened? Why some people get it very young?
No, I mean Parkinson's is what they call idiopathic of unknown cause. So I suspect that mine is. I mean, there's a common consensus that actually Parkinson's might start in the gut now, and this is a theory put together by a guy called Braque in Norway, and I buy that. I think that I also have celiac disease, which is a condition of the gut, and I think that my Parkinson's probably came up and had an effect on my brain. But I suspect that Parkinson's is a syndrome rather than the condition, so that it's many different causes, and that's one of the problems we have about curing it, is that it's different in everyone.
One of the papers today says that the Billy Connolly case is particularly interesting because he has got prostate cancer at the same time. Mm-hmm. And indeed, I know somebody who was diagnosed almost simultaneously with both, and there was some sense of a connection there. Now, is there any? Have you heard about that?
Yes. Interestingly enough, we're going to see some people soon about maybe using a prostate cancer drug for Parkinson's. So perhaps there is some connection, but. So I mean, we are following those lines of inquiry, but they came up before this all happened. So
I imagine one of the hardest things for people with the disease is you regularly see newspapers saying they've made a breakthrough and on a mouse and all that kind of stuff, and you have to. In the end, I guess you need to almost keep that at a distance.
Well, yeah, I think you do. I think the papers do tend to celebrate things which have already happened, But then again, there is enormous hope, and I have absolute belief that I will one day be able to insert the words "used to" when I say I have Parkinson's.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Tom Isaacs, co-founder of the Cure Parkinsons Trust, who's had Parkinson's himself for 20 years. And listening to that is Dr. Sarah Jarvis, our Radio 2 doctor. Sarah, it must be one of the hardest things for you as a doctor to have to give people this news.
It's really tough. I think you're absolutely right. Most people know somebody, often more than one person who's got Parkinson's. And of course the problem is this is not a curable condition. But as we've heard, it's not a death sentence by any means. It's a life sentence. But there is so much variation. Many people with Parkinson's live long and productive lives. I've got patients who've had Parkinson's for 20 years and they're still pretty much carrying on as normal. I have got patients who've gone downhill much, much more quickly. So it is very, very variable.
Somebody said to me that they give you a drug regime these days that will freeze it for 5 years, but after that, there's no point taking it. Is that right?
Well, that's not quite the case, but I think I can entirely understand where that idea came from. Basically, what we're talking about, Parkinson's, we know, is related to the amount of a chemical called levodopa or dopamine in your brain. And effectively what happens is we're trying to replace your natural body's levels of dopamine with all the drugs that we've had in the past. Now, we know that, as we've heard, a lot of people get these side effects from medications. You can get the flailing, which is called dyskinesia, the uncontrollable jerky movements. About 50 to 90% of people who've had levodopa for, say, 5 to 10 years can get some side effects after that period, although interestingly, we usually tend to say if you have your symptoms after the age of 70, you're less likely to get them. So Billy Connolly is sort of just on the cusp, and he's a fairly standard age to be diagnosed. But the other thing, apart from these flailing movements, is something called on-off. So effectively, very suddenly, you can switch from the medication moving to the medication working and you being able to move fairly freely to suddenly almost freezing up. And patients will freeze up. And the aim of the newer medications we've got, sadly, we don't have a cure. We're absolutely still looking for it, and more money needs to go into research to do that for all these wonderful charities. But at the moment, there is new treatment available. There are several options available, which the idea is can maybe delay when you need to give these treatments, which we know are quite likely to cause problems or not to work as effectively, depending on how long you take them for.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sarah Jarvis, Radio 2 doctor, talking about Billy Connolly, but also more widely perhaps about you, if you've been diagnosed or your partner has with Parkinson's, and just how you're dealing with it.
In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Karen, she's a silver sun. You best walk her away and watch it shining. Watch her watch the morning come. A silver tear appearing now. I'm crying. I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. There ain't no doubt in no one's mind that love's the finest thing around. Whisper something soft and kind. And hey babe, the sky's on fire. I'm dying, ain't I? I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Well, dark and silent late last night, I think I might have heard the highway calling. Geese in flight and dogs that bite. The signs that might be omens say I'm going, I'm going, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. With a holy host of others standing around me, still I'm on the dark side of the moon. And it seems like it goes on like this forever. You must forgive me if I'm up and gone to Carolina in my mind. In my mind, I'm gone to Carolina. Can't you see the sunshine? Can't you just feel the moonshine? Ain't it just like a friend of mine to hit me from behind? Yes, I'm gone to Carolina in my mind. Gone to Carolina in my mind. And I'm gone to Carolina in my mind.
It's always great to meet Tom Isaacs. We've spoken to him before, the co-founder of the Cure Parkinsons Trust. Got the disease at 26 years old, and now 20 years on is such a campaigner for everyone who is living with that disease and just driving towards a cure or a better treatment if at all possible. So credit to Tom for coming into the studio today. Really appreciate it. Tim in Plymouth says, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's 2 years ago. I'm now 60 years old. Staying off medication so far. I've managed to carry on at work. I'm wobbling along. I still get a few strange looks, but I am keeping positive. That's what we're talking about, really. It's just that you've been diagnosed and you're maybe in the first year or two, and you may be doing it with or without the drugs and just keeping abreast of your own symptoms. And what is that like to be either you or your partner to be in that situation? Vanessa emails, 10 months on from my diagnosis, I have to say it's not all bad. Modern medication is good. I've got a superb consultant and a Parkinson's nurse, and my symptoms are mostly controlled. Life hasn't yet changed noticeably, and I'm optimistic of a cure. Dale Sheriff emails, I'm so pleased you're covering this disease. I'm 46. I've had it for 10 years. I stay positive. I don't get down, even though the symptoms are slowly creeping up on me. I am on medication, but better than medication is positivity. Parkinson's comes in many different forms. My father suffered terribly and was bedbound for about 3 years before he died. And this scared me initially, but now I realise treatment has moved on enormously in recent years, and it continues to do so. That's what we've got to keep faith in, isn't it? We'll find something better. Alan Seben in the Scottish Borders, you were diagnosed at 37, Alan.
Yeah, Jeremy, good afternoon. I was diagnosed about 18 months ago. Quite devastating news to begin with, but since I've kind of got over the initial shock and the things that have come with it, I've kind of just got on with it and decided to live a very, very positive life and show the world that having Parkinson's, yes, it's a neurological condition, chronic at that as well. You just got to get up and get on with it. You can't sit away in the dark corner and say, oh, well, that's the end of me. You've just got to really pick yourself up, get on with it, and do what you can while you still got the time to do it.
I always imagine the first symptoms are a tremor, but is that correct in your case?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, it was noticeable in my thumb, just a small tremor, which I thought was a trapped nerve. And as time's progressed through the years, I noticed that the tremor was getting more and more, so I approached my doctor and asked him about it, and he says, well, you're far too young to have Parkinson's or anything else like that. We'll put you on beta blockers to kind of control it. As they weren't able to control it, so I was sent for a DAT scan, which I later found out was the test for Parkinson's. In January last year, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And
as you say, 18 months on, being positive is what one of our listeners said earlier, isn't it? That almost the best treatment in the early stages is to be positive.
Yeah, very much so. And I find that exercising as well, I haven't changed anything that I actually do apart from I'm unable to write because of the tremor. It's just very fine motor skill movements that I have problems with at the moment, but I can still play football regular. May not be the best player in the world, but I still play and continue to do the things that I normally do. I don't believe that just because you've been told you've got something like this, that you should lock yourself away and not be able to do the things that you were able to do before. Like Billy Connolly, still able to work now. I'm back at work now. I'm really enjoying it. Having the time of my life, basically, Jeremy. Well
done, Alan. It's great to hear from you, and it'll be really encouraging for other people as well. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Jeremy.
Take care. All the best.
Bye-bye.
And that goes for everyone with Parkinson's listening to the programme today. Lynn Barnett in Bury St Edmunds says, I was diagnosed 7 years ago. It's not nice that Billy Connolly has it, but it will help to highlight the disease because it's not very well known. Hopefully more money will be raised to help find a cure. Actually, now thinking about it, I think I know 4 people. How many people do you know with Parkinson's? It's 4 in my case. Annie Edwards in Wendover, you've had it for 20 years.
Yes, I had. I was 32 when I was diagnosed.
Again, very young.
Yeah. I was heavily into sport and was a Highland dancer as well. And it was a big shock to the system. What happened for me was shortly after that, I fell pregnant, and that completely changed my outlook in life because I had something really to look forward to.
Well, again, that's the positivity. I guess that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and that's it's very much an emotional disease as well as a physical one, because your emotions actually control your symptoms a lot. The adrenaline, as soon as you get adrenaline in your system, that makes the symptoms worse. You can ask anybody with Parkinson's and they'll tell you that.
Really?
So keep a stress-free life as positive as possible and just think positive.
Thanks, Annie. Again, thanks to you for calling. You take care.
Okay, bye.
It's Radio 2. We're talking about Parkinson's disease, and maybe you are living with it and you want to speak to us. Go ahead, call us 0500 288 291. Train of thought. And I think this is Len Goodman.
To present a show on Radio 2, I tell you what, don't worry about Strictly. This is nerve-wracking.
Len Goodman.
I love all types of music. I mostly like free and easy. Easy listening is my type of music. Something that I can listen to. Stuff that I think I haven't heard that for years. Oh, yes, that's a good one.
Let's take it nice and easy.
When people are listening to me on a Sunday between 5 and 7, I just hope that there's some tracks here that they say, cool, old Len's not as bad as I thought he was.
Len Goodman.
Lovely.
Sunday evenings from 5.
On BBC Radio 2.
It's nice to have him in the family, isn't it? We're talking about Parkinson's. Mildred Keedy in Leeds has been in touch and says, my husband died from it last year. It's a horrible disease. Had it for 8 years. It just got worse and worse, and he couldn't move by the end. I had to put him into a care home because I couldn't lift him. Jane emails, my husband was diagnosed in May. He's devastated, finding it difficult to accept. He had been hands-on with work since he was a boy, working on his family's farm. Then he was an electrician, but, you can't work with small electrical parts if you've got a tremor. It affects the whole family. There are, though, people saying, well, you can be positive about it. And Christopher Straw in Banbury says, I'm in the early stages, had it for 2 years. I'm a lab manager at a university. It is a struggle to carry on with my job, but I row 4 times a week. I just rowed across the channel to keep my body in shape, and I have 3 sessions of speech therapy a week to help control the volume of my voice. People should know they can be proactive. And one more that I hope is more upbeat if you're involved in this or got a family member suffering. Beverly Shillings in Peterborough says, I was diagnosed at 43. It took a long time to diagnose. I remember thinking, that's it, my life's over. It was terrifying. But I've had Parkinson's now for 13 years, and actually, I'm fine. There are so many people diagnosed every single day, and when you are, it's awful. But I want them to know it really might not be such a big problem at all. I've had a bad back, and that causes far more problems.